Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Pillage coverage here as we work our way to the end of the specific factions. There is a kind of a generic faction, but we'll touch on that at a later date. But these guys, the Welsh, they have weather here. They ignore heavy rain and strong winds, so two perks there for them. No other special rules there. Let's see what the Welsh have. So no wagon, as we've seen with recent factions, and they've got kind of the average cost there for the chieftain, the healer. Unarmored and improvised weapons are free, of course. Now, interestingly, first faction we've seen, I think, where they don't even have access to armor. So your chief is not getting chainmail or leather or anything like that. He's going to have to just get that shield. Shields are cheap, though, right? 5 gold a piece, so expect probably just a lot of shields. You don't have to worry about paying for the armor, so you might as well kit everybody out with a shield and get that. It's very cheap spears as well, so again, probably the most common weapon there. Now these guys, I think, out of all the factions, are paying the highest amount for the hand weapons, so we're probably just going to stick towards spears, maybe only a few hand weapons here and there. Again, I feel like, you gotta, if you're going to spend points on stuff, you might as well give the chief the best weapons and stuff like that. They do get a very cheap Dane axe, interestingly enough, even cheaper than most of the other factions at only 15. So they, I would say maybe look for that to kind of get tucked into the list there with several of those. Don't worry about the armor. Just gets a fair bit of Dane axes in here for some heavy hitting. Another faction, though, that gets the free slings, also free javelins, although the lack of the wagon is a downer there. But again, it's going to be more than made up for the fact that the javelins are free, and we don't have to worry about armor. So just, you can easily bring several of the javelin guys to make up in quantity of the models for what they don't have because of the wagon. Very cheap bows as well, so again, I'd expect a lot of that as well. And with free slings too, just some combination of just lots of missile fire for these guys with very cheap fighters. So hopefully you kind of soften up the enemy, and then just let your spearmen do the work, and some of your Dane axe guys to punch some guys down. They do, interestingly enough, though, get horses, although fairly expensive for them at 35 gold apiece, but that is an interesting option just to get them some speed and maneuverability, especially for a lot of the scenarios out there. No banners. They haven't figured out how to put a flag on a stick yet, but they do get a cheap warhorn, a relatively cheap warhorn at 20, so something that you might as well take. No warhounds, interestingly enough, as well. So in some cases, kind of some of the most limited choices compared to some of the other factions out there. Even, putting these guys across from like the Irish, Picts, and Scots. But what do we do? What do we get, and what do we do well here? We got the healer still. Lack of armor is going to be a little bit of a downer, right? So we're going to have to be careful with some of our engagements. But the fact that we don't have that at all means we're just going to bring more men to the fight here, essentially, right? So we'll put shields on whoever needs shields, but we don't have to worry about paying points for armor. So that frees up and lets us get maybe a couple more figures on the board. Very cheap weapon options here. Again, you could just go with spears, slings, and javelins and just keep it as bare bones as possible and have a ton of guys on the board, right? Maybe throwing a few bows there as well, and then some cavalry to do some work. And again, also very cheap Dane axes, so that's kind of going to be the probably the hidden heavy hitter for the list here. You look across the board and see a bunch of guys with spears and stuff, but if they can sneak in those guys with the Dane axes and give them some spear support, that's going to be pretty nasty overall. So let us know, guys, your thoughts on the Welsh. Have you played with them if this is your faction, or played against them? How have those games gone? Be sure to hit us up in the comments, like and subscribe, and we'll have more Pillage for you soon. Thanks for watching.